Yeah. So I've been working in the space of data analytics since last over 12 plus years, and here I am to actually showcase what are the capabilities with respect to the Azure Data Factory. I know that most of you are already working professionals and already having some basic experience with respect to you have been working in the field of IT, and also you might be aware of what is going with respect to the or what are the advancements in the space of data analytics. So I am here to I'll start sharing my screen. uh, can one of you confirm that are you able to hear my voice?
Yes.
Yes, right.
Yes, yes, we are able to.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay. I hope you are also able to see my screen. Okay. So I'm here to actually showcase to you on a kind of make you aware what is the capability of Azure Data Factory and all, and what could be the prerequisites that we can have, and how is it kind of evolved. Like Azure Data Factory has become recently the buzzword in most of the data analytics space. So with this, I just wanted to go ahead with some kind of a introduction uh, on what we are going to cover today. Okay, so basically I'll make you understand um, on what are the prerequisites of going for this course, and what if even if you don't know, and uh, from the perspective of a data engineer, or I should say to have a perception of what's happening on the space of data analytics on Azure, or I should say the cloud area, right? So this will be a kind of an introduction session for you, and to be specific about the topic, we'll understand what is the data factory and all, and what is the main purpose of this. And I will also touch on a small comparison that we can make on the on-premise systems that we have and the cloud ecosystem that is evolving very fast. And I also wanted to explain a very basic elements of what is with respect to ADF and pipelines and activities, and one demo, a small demo, what how the ADF triggers or the pipelines work. Okay, so just to kick off, okay, what I would say is whoever is attending this session, I'm expecting like they should have a very basic of what is Azure. At least if you do not know now, you can also Google or check on what is Azure, what is that platform that is coming from Microsoft. It's a cloud platform. We call it Microsoft Cloud Platform. We call it as Azure, and similarly we have other cloud platforms too, like Amazon, they call it AWS and all. But this Azure Data Factory is something that is offered as a cloud offering by Microsoft, and it is important that we understand some basics of Azure. Okay, but if you are not aware, or if you are completely new to this, that is still fine. You should try. It can be a self learning from your end on understanding what is cloud, what is Azure, and all. And coming to the next prerequisite of this training, like you should have some basic understanding of SQL and what is a database, tables, and maybe some kind of a understanding on how the internal structure works, like tables, columns, and maybe performing joins and all. So again, I'm going into slightly advanced, but it is important that you understand what is a database. But if you are again new, I would say like there should be some self-paced training where you can just have a check on what is understanding, and you can also let me know if you have any trouble in understanding what is a database on very basics. We can also have one-on-one discussion about it. Okay. Now, yeah, going into the topic, the actual topic that we are going to discuss, right? You should understand one thing, that uh, Microsoft as such is a big player, like almost more than 30 years it has been in the industry. Uh, but I should say, like in after 2005 and all, so that is when actually the concept of cloud evolving. And so I should say Azure Data Factory is like a cloud based platform. Okay, cloud based platform. So earlier, what used to happen is we have used to have all the systems on premise, right? When I say on premise, that means whoever is the client or whoever is the business, they used to maintain, or they used to have one separate IT infrastructure setup, and they used to maintain it in house. Okay, understand that they used to maintain it in house. When I say maintain, right, so just like how your house maintenance comes or anything, just like that, with all the infrastructure related to IT maintenance comes in. Like you need a cloud, you need an administrator, you need a initial setup for all the infra, you need the boxes, you need the physical space in your organization, right, to keep all the servers, maintain the networking and everything. But understand that now this is all gone. Okay, so when, if at all you have an enterprise or you want to set up an office or anything, it's just like spinning up a cloud instance on Azure or AWS and get your infra ready. So that is the way how it evolved. Okay, from the late I should say the early 2000s to the now into 2015, more than 2015. After 2015, it has been a very fast paced environment that is growing on the cloud side. Now, what is this data factory? So this data factory is a cloud based platform as a service. That means it's giving you a platform to actually do some integrations, orchestration on different sources basing on the needs. But at this point of time, just understand that there used to be an on-premise system and now you're working on cloud. It's important that you learn the history, how it was and how it is, and that is how we can actually learn things in a better manner. Okay. Um, so far, I think we have just brushed up only on the basic part of it. I will just open up for 5 minutes after finishing this introduction for questions. But I will first finish off this. Okay, just give me a second. Okay, now what is this data factory doing? Now we understood what it is actually. It's a cloud-based platform as a platform as a service, which is being offered by Microsoft for doing data analytics. Now, what is it actually doing? Okay, when we say, I'm saying I'm marking this keyword called orchestrate and automate. No, when I say orchestrate, okay, so if you are aware of this term orchestrate, so basically it performs an orchestration and an automation of activities. When I say activities, it is nothing but, suppose a case has come, like your client had told, okay, Mr. A, I am having so and so data in one particular SharePoint site or some location in the OneDrive, where I just wanted to bring in that data and publish into my report. Okay, so and this has to be done on a daily manner at every night, and it should be ready by the time by the time the business is ready. Okay, now there are two things that needs to be done. First thing is you have to do that activity of orchestrating that activity. Understand this term, that or you have to orchestrate with that particular go and get the data from that source and try to run this on a daily manner every day, right? So what are we actually doing? So there is some activity of data movement, right, and we are trying to automate it. So that is where this orchestrate and automate comes, and that is one functionality, or we can achieve that using data factory. And if in the same example I was talking about getting some data from some shared location, whether it could be some shared folder in the company, okay, or some kind of a SharePoint site in the company, okay, within the company which you are working. And what is it actually doing? What is this data factory doing? It is going and integrating with that sources, right? And it is setting, we are going to bring in that, so connect to that source and bring in that source. What is happening here? We are actually trying to integrate different sources into our target platform. When I say target platform, it can be anything again. So the requirement can say bring in that particular file data and publish it into a table, okay, into a database table, whether it can be any database, Oracle database or a SQL database, okay, any target, okay. And ultimately you're using this data into for publishing of some report, whether it could be a Tableau report or it could be a Power BI report or anything. But the task in between is to bring in, go and integrate to that data and put it in the target server or the target table. So what is happening here is we are trying to integrate with different sources and targets, okay. So this is one thing. And the second and the last important thing that we need to understand is within all this, uh, what are we actually doing? We are just not even bringing in the same data and putting it there, okay. There could be different formats that are being offered, wherein which we might need to transform the data. Like suppose, okay, when I say a particular person is working for some person A is working for some department called as maybe science department or something. But remove this. This is, we might be getting this got normalized, and the department ID would be coming as like this. But there should be a transformation logic that this person who is working for department number 3, the actual this 3 is being represented as science department. So there is a link that is happening between these two, right? So this is where the transformation comes in, okay. Ultimately there could be a business logic which says that please get the department ID, map it with this department table, okay. Map this person table to the department table and put it as finally as person and science department. So what is happening here? See, this has transformed to become this, right? So this is what is called data transformation. I mean, this is a very simple transformation just I touched upon, but this can go way more complex depending upon the business requirement. But this is one such example. So I briefly touched upon what is data factory, okay. And I also wanted some of you to understand uh, how are we actually kind of doing this comparison, okay. You need to understand, suppose if you are wanted to understand ADF, you should understand that uh, there is one on-premise version called SSIS, okay. Basically we say as SQL Server Integration Services. But that is something which we used that used to get maintained on premise. Even now, if someone who is working on premise, they will be understanding how it actually works, okay. That works on premise but not on cloud, okay. So we should say that ADF is a kind of a cloud version of SSIS. But I will say it is not that fully matured as a SSIS, but it is a new technology. ADF is a new one which had come into the picture. Okay, so that's the basic comparison that I wanted to make you understand if you are learning ADF, because you should understand the history of it. Okay, and why to go for cloud? Okay, you might have a question. We are working on SSIS, right? Or there is an, you're saying like there is an on-premise version, and you're saying also there is a cloud version. Why should we go for cloud? Okay, you need to understand the actual dynamics of the industry now, that everything is moving at a very fast pace and everything is growing up on cloud, and there is a very big ecosystem that is being built in the cloud itself. Okay, a very big ecosystem. Like earlier people used to kind of purchase their computers, or when I say people, I meant the business. Okay, the business used to have a separate IT infrastructure team, and they used to purchase hard disks, they used to purchase servers to actually maintain those servers, and admin people maintaining all those. So everything used to be there. Okay, but now what has happened? Now everything is moving into cloud. Companies do not want even a small space keeping their computer or something in their on premise. Everything is moved to cloud. Okay, and any new projects. Okay, I've been working in this industry almost more than 12 years now. The client's perspective has changed. Now they are saying that we should go or think about a cloud first solution. So that means if there is an in-house system, okay, and suppose if there is a requirement to build a new system, okay, new IT system, they are planning only for building it on cloud and not on on-premise. Okay, you need to understand what are these advantages that cloud has. Okay, a very quick turnaround time in setting up the things, in setting up the infrastructure. So just by a click. Okay, I've been just working this morning. Yeah, so I was just trying to do some kind of a creating some infrastructure, or I should say creating some server. Okay, so just by a click, so you can see the deployment is complete. Okay, so just by a click we are able to kind of create the whatever is required, whatever server that is required, whatever database that is required. So what is happening is everybody is in a kind of a perception that instead of going for on-premise, why can't we leverage the cloud itself? So there is a huge system, or I could say a huge network of cloud resources which are there, and people are leveraging on top of that only. And ADF is the one where it provides a seamless integration to numerous number of data sources. Okay, which can take more efforts when we have to do it for on-premise setup like SSIS. Okay, you need to understand that slowly things will already started moving, and we move to Azure Data Factory because that's a cloud-based offering and also provides us a seamless integration for n number of sources. If you just check the documentation of MS in Microsoft Docs, you can see how many sources it gets integrated with. And you can also have a doubt. So now you are saying like cloud has come, but what about the older projects? So there are many number of older projects which are there. What happens to them? ADF as such, right, it also provides a kind of a backward compatibility, or it provides us the option to actually have the in-house ones, or I should say the on-premise setup which is there. There is a mechanism where we can actually have that deployed onto cloud. So that is the level of compatibility that Azure Data Factory has. Suppose there is an existing SSI solution, okay, but you want to move that to cloud. Okay, what you can do, you can simply spin up one integration runtime of yours, or Azure integration runtime, deploy that particular uh, in SSIS packages and everything into that server. Okay, that kind of a compatibility we can, it provides us. And also it is not that whatever is there in the existing project that cannot be replicated in the cloud. everything can be replicated, but it might not be as matured as SSIS or as um, I mean ready with respect to SSIS. But there is no we definitely we can find a way around on all the things that we can manage it in cloud, and it is evolving at a very faster rate. And I should say, when I saying evolving, you should also see the fact that there are two versions which are there. Like earlier we used to have only a v1 version, and v2 version I think it started kicking in over last 3 years before 20 around 2018. And it offers a very good seamless integration of new sources, as well as almost the same capabilities with respect to transformations, activities that we perform. The similar kind of an activities can be achieved in Azure Data Factory itself. So this is a very, I should say, high level overview of touching what is ADF and what are the prerequisites, and how can we actually compare this, and why are we actually going for ADF when you already have an SSI system. So I think I covered things on this. Maybe if you have any particular questions on this basic introduction, you can ask me now, or you can even park it till the end of the session. I'll be able to answer them. I'll just pause for a minute, try to understand if you have any questions at this level as of now.
Right a moment. No, I said.
Sorry.
Right a moment. I have no question right now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Arvind. Okay, so I will just proceed on uh, just doing a little depth into the ADF on what are the basic elements on how this entire uh, ADF, Azure Data Factory pipeline runs. Okay, so I'll just try to show you how an ADF pipeline. So this is a screen that you usually see when you start working on ADF. Okay, but I just wanted to show you because I used a term called pipeline. Okay, when I say pipeline, you might be thinking, okay, why, what is this pipeline and all that, right? So basically, you can see this cylindrical shape here. So everything in ADF is a pipeline. Okay, and everything is listed under this resources. Okay, so I'm not going to straight away going to the actual UI and all that. So there is a lot of a little groundwork that we need to just complete, but I just wanted to showcase this particular cylindrical shaped pipeline. I might be using this term called pipeline. Okay, where it signifies one kind of an activity. Okay, so as I mentioned, like Azure Data Factory has some key elements. Okay, and if you have already had an experience on the SSIS, or you're already working on SQL, right, you might be aware of these terms. Okay, but if you're not aware, okay, there is no problem. You can actually manage. We can manage it when we are having this training sessions. Okay, now I will try to actually touch upon uh, what is this elements, and what do they stand for. Okay, um, so whenever you are trying to kind of a build, or there is a task, I'll take a task. Okay, your supervisor or whoever in your organization had come up and asked, okay, your task is to move some data. Okay, and your source is some SQL table, and your destination is some file output. Okay, okay, think like this. Okay, that you have some kind of a server within your organization or outside the organization, and you have some kind of a SQL server and which has a table called A and a table called B. Okay. Now, first of all, when he says that, okay, the immediate question that comes in is, okay, boss, you're saying that there is a source and there is a destination. I need to understand what is that address, right? So we are saying source. Okay. There should be some address for that. And you're saying destination and there should be some address for that. Okay. So using that address, okay, using that address, whatever that you create is called as linked service. Remember, using that address. So basically that is an address, and we need to create a linked service in the data factory to make the system understand, okay, my source is here. That's the address, which is nothing but the SQL connection here. Okay, so we have an activity and we are saying what is the source and what is the destination, and we call that as linked service. Okay, understand that we have, that is called as linked service. Okay, now we know the address, but within that address, what I need to bring in, right? That is the next question that you will have. Okay, you said like, okay, go to that particular house or going to that address, but what I need to do, what is the data that I need to bring? Okay, that is where, you will get the data set. Okay, that is a second important, I should say, element in the data factory. So when I say data set, you can say we can say that within this source I wanted to bring a table A and table data and transform it and move it into a file output. Okay, file output, and this is the destination file output. Okay, now this is the second most important element, so I should call this as data factory elements, basic elements. Okay, now we know the activity, we know the source, I should say we know what is that linked service, and we know what is the data set that we are trying to bring in. Okay, now we have linked service, we have a data set defined, so we know what to do. Okay, now within the data factory, okay, this movement of data, whatever we are saying as movement of data, I will say this as an activity. Okay, I will say that this as an activity. Okay, and pipeline, okay, remember this one, pipeline is the word, or I should say pipeline is the encapsulator. When I say encapsulator, these activities that are there, that means the activity of moving some data, okay, some data, it could be any data, okay, of is nothing but we encapsulate it under a pipeline. Understand that the activity pipeline basically encapsulates this activity. So under a pipeline, you can have n number of activities. You can have bring in the data from table A to file output, table B to file output, or table C to some other destination. But everything is an activity. Remember that everything is an activity, and pipeline is the encapsulator. Okay, that is what I have shown you. Basically, the pipeline that I was showing you, this pipeline is nothing but the encapsulator. Okay, under this you will have this activities, pipelines, under that you have activities, and these are the basic elements that we
Ravi,
have under ADF.
Ra- Ravi,
So yes, Kumar.
I think the font size is uh, blurry, like not clearly visible. Is it problem to everybody? Like me? Your voice is clearly understand, and your skin is also
Okay,
a good one.
But
But
but I'm able
font
to see.
Could you
I'm able
uh, font size
Papa,
is like
maybe could you check that your bandwidth, network bandwidth, okay?
Maybe
Correct,
there is
correct.
some.
Maybe that is the issue. Okay.
Oh, okay. Is it any better?
No,
I
not
try
like
to
it
increase the
is better. It
size.
is better. Like when you see in menu item, like menu options, auto save file, it is like not as clear as what we
Okay,
see. And even if you go to like pipeline side and web page, it is not clearly visible. Like it is visible, but it is like some blurry.
okay. But are you able to
Then key
understand that
item.
when I say activity as an activity?
Yeah, it is better one. Now it is better one.
Okay.
I
Okay,
think it
fine.
is.
Sure. Thank you for pointing that out. I will see. I'll try to maybe increase the size and all. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Now, so we are at pipeline when I'm saying like we are the encapsulator of these activities. We encapsulate that in a pipeline. Okay. So there can be number of activities which are there in the pipeline. So you might be having doubt. Okay. So you're saying like there is a linked service, data set. You're saying number of activities are going on, but where is the compute instance, right? So for performing all this, there should be some compute instance, isn't it? You'll have a similar doubt when you're saying you're working something on your computer. You have that computer has its own processor, own storage, and everything. But what is happening when I say how is it actually doing this activity, or how is it going and touching this particular data set or this SQL server source or destination? How is it going? So that is where the word comes, this integration runtime. Okay, integration runtime is the one which is actually providing you that compute power. Okay, that is computing providing you that compute power to perform all these activities, and you should understand that. And this is a very important part, because your performance on how the pipeline runs and everything is kind of a dependent on this integration runtime. But the one good thing about the cloud is you need not worry much about the infrastructure side of thing, but you need to understand what is it. Okay. So when I say suppose if there is you're working on your laptop, okay, and there is some problem in the hard disk. Okay, that problem is your problem now, because right, because that is your laptop and it is failing means it is your problem. But when you're talking a same scenario in cloud, okay, suppose if something one fails, there will be another backup for it. So you will never have to worry about the infrastructure side of things, and there are some people who are already working in the background taking care of those aspects. That is one main advantage of using cloud. Okay. And these all will be bound by some kind of an SLAs and all that, but yeah, that is a different topic altogether. But we can have a separate discussion if required on that. Okay. So far I have covered the linked service, the data sets, the pipelines, the activities within the pipeline, and the entire this activity or these connections, everything are being performed by the compute called integration runtime. Okay. And and there's one more last thing about triggers, because when I say activity or movement of some data, I said we have to orchestrate and automate, right? So that is where this comes. So we call them as triggers. Okay, these triggers to schedule or are similar to something like agent jobs that you configure. If you're already aware of SQL and all that, you people might be knowing what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a SQL server agent, or there is some Windows scheduler and all that, right? So that is where the things come in, where you need to uh, automate or trigger the task at one particular time. So that is about this trigger. So similarly, in as a part of data factory elements, we have something called triggers. Okay, and these activities, these pipelines, this execution will be scheduled for trigger. Okay. Okay, now what I will try to do is, I have one small pipeline which I've already created. um, I'll be able to make you understand on one particular demo that I'm talking about now. Okay, now we are all talking about some activity. Just a second. We are all talking about some kind of an activity, right? What activity? Data movement activity. So now I have a SQL server at one place, and I have a blob. When I say blob, remember, like one kind of a hard disk on Azure, or one kind of a storage on Azure. And when I say SQL server, this SQL server can be on premise or it can be on cloud. Okay, but that doesn't matter as of now. But what we are trying to do is, we are trying to move some data from SQL server to Azure blob. Okay, now you already understood that. Okay, this ADF is there, and ADF will have linked service. Okay, and within that linked service you need to have a data set, and we have to create a pipeline to perform this activity. Now I'm going to show you the same on the ADF canvas. Okay, now so far we used to have something called a IDE and all that, right? A IDE in the sense, development environment and all. Okay, here it is just a matter of click that you create a resource. Okay, so these are some of the this is the Azure portal screen. Okay, do not get too much confused, or if you're not able to see this properly, do not get confused. You will be able to create something of this sort when you actually start doing this course. Okay, and there'll be number of different Azure services on top of which we can uh, perform or create these resources. When I said one advantage of cloud I was talking that is, you can easily spin up the resources. So just a few seconds ago this is last viewed, but creation also can be done in that fast manner. Okay, so if you are seeing my screen, you are seeing I have created some kind of a, uh, databases, SQL server, and some kind of a storage account. So I'm talking about movement of data from SQL database to storage account. Okay, so I went ahead and created something called data factory. You can see like a factory symbol here. So data factory, and I went on to come to this particular screen. Don't worry about the flow and all that. Okay, you should be able to do that when we start this course, but I'm just giving you a demo. So you will end up in a screen like this. Okay, now whatever I just discussed in theory, I'm just showing you in practical what is this pipeline, and what is that activity that is here, you can see, and what are the different configurations available in this activity. Okay, so technically, what am I trying to do? I am actually trying to copy, just simple copy. Okay, what am I trying to do? Copy the data from SQL server to blob storage. Please, coming to this scenario of this, that you are trying to move the data from the SQL server, copying the data into some kind of a blob storage. Okay, now I'm going back to my screen. Okay, so I created a pipeline. Okay, I created a pipeline. You can simply create a new pipeline and create it, but I'm just showing you, you created a pipeline. Okay, but even before that, what we had to do, we need to have the addresses, right? You need to have the addresses. For that address, what we need to do, we need to create this linked services. So when I said linked services, so what I'm actually doing here, I'm actually saying, okay, within this in the blob, you will have some storage account called this. Go to that storage account, okay, and authenticate yourself, and you create a linked service. I did that. So I gave the address of this particular blob, okay, that account name, okay, and now we have one linked service for blob created. Now the next source for this is what is a SQL database. And similarly, you can see what should be there in the linked service, the address. You can see the address here. You can clearly see the address here. Now we have linked services. So the first part of ADF element, linked services, you can see. And next I'm going to author. Basically, I'm going to author this particular pipeline. Now within that, I said the next important one was dataset, right? So within that linked service, okay, what is the table I am using? I am using a table called EMP. That is what I told you, right? The key elements, there'll be some kind of a data set, some table. Yeah, I told you, right? The similar way, it is nothing but a table called EMP. Okay. Now another data set is I'm trying to create a file. Which file? It can be any file, okay, like a comma separated or a tab separated or a delimiter, anything, pipe separated, okay, some CSV file. When I say CSV file, think like comma separated values, that's it, like a simple text which is separated by commas. Okay. Now I have my source defined, I have my target defined, I have my data set, linker service is already created. Now here comes the actual activity. So I created a pipeline like this. Go to new, open, clone, or I can simply say open this, and I had created one pipeline here. Okay. Now within that pipeline, I went ahead and said I want copy activity. So that is what I brought in. I brought in the copy activity. Already brought it, but I'm just showing you this copy activity. So you can see this here. I had a pipeline and I am doing a copy activity here. That's what you can see in the demo now. Okay, when you see this, okay, this is a simple copy activity which had source and sink defined. Okay. If some new term or a keyword is new to you, don't panic. Okay, think like source is something like the source server. Okay, I was saying like we need to bring in some data from the SQL services, right? SQL server table. So that is nothing but source. The target, the target means we are trying to move the data into something, right? That is called as sink. Okay, source and sink. What we had to do in this activity, we had to basically configure. That means what we need, when I say configure, what are we trying to do? We are just specifying what is required there from the ADF. So ADF will say, okay, you put a activity. Now you need to tell me also which data set. So I said, okay, it is in the data set. So these are all in the drop down, they are clearly available. Okay, source data set, what is that? It's a table. What you need to do? Okay, basically we can try to preview the data, but I am having some issue on the this particular portal, which I was not able to do this morning, but I already created this for you. Okay, so this is the source. And what is a sink? Sink, we said like it is a file, right? So it is nothing but a delimited text. So within that activity, we had defined what is source, what is sink, and we also make, we should also make the ADF understand that there is some kind of a mapping, right? So that means, okay, ADF, there is something called an ID in the source, and there is something called first name and last name, and you have to map it accordingly into the destination like this. But you can clearly observe one thing here. Since text is every time a string, okay, you can clearly see that this integer is directly converted into a string type. Okay, Yeah, people can observe, whoever knows SQL already can also understand that difference, but it's okay. But I'm just trying to point out the difference between the different source and the target. Since here source is the SQL and the target is a text file. So what are we actually doing here? We are actually trying to tell, okay, a destination column called ID, then you have to simply go and insert that ID into that ID. So that is where we specify the mappings. So source, sync, mapping. So these are the more important ones, and there will be some other kind of a data integration unit or copy of parallelism. So these are some kind of an advanced properties that we have, but we can look into that at a later point of time. But for the understanding sake, remember that there is a source configuration, sync configuration, and a mapping that we need to define on top of each copy activity. Similarly, this is one copy activity, but there can be several other copy activities where you need to basically configure those. Okay, suppose there is a data brick cluster. Okay, and you are trying to run a notebook. Okay, we can go into these are like next level of things which we can have a demo on how to run a notebook and a Python script and all that. But yeah, this is a basic example of how this gets triggered, and you can also see that just a second. There are pipelines. Okay, somehow I'm not able to get this data, but you can clearly see what we actually did here. Okay, whatever that I was telling in theory, I was just trying to showcase the same in the Azure Data Factory canvas. Okay, so with this, so basically I was trying to highlight what is that activity that we are doing, what we are actually trying to do. We are bringing in the data from one place to the another place, and these are all the two data sets that are defined. And we also talked about the background of all these activities are performed with the help of integration runtime. And there is a way to actually trigger the schedules. So basically when you navigate to the manage, you can see that there can be a trigger where we can highlight, where we can point out which one to start and all that, and we can schedule that run. So if you see, this is the start date. Okay, schedule, tumbling window, there are a number of different types, but which we usually go for schedule, and we can specify a start date and press ok. Then automatically a trigger will get started, and automatically this will start every day based on the specified time. So with this, I just wanted to end this demo, and I try to showcase what is there, and actually what is present in the canvas, and and understand that there could be several patterns within this, right? So basically, I took one from the Microsoft documents itself. Okay, there is this pattern. Okay, so there was a case like where you need to bring in some data from the storage account and push it to the Azure data warehouse. Okay, so it is the next level of storing the data, which is something called as Azure data warehouse. So basically we are making use of data factory to get this activities done. And basically there is one more clause, like it's like a hybrid clause. Okay, you might be wondering like what is this hybrid. Okay, there can be enterprises or there can be clients who are working already on on-premise systems, and some part of it is moved to cloud. So that is where this kind of a hybrid scenarios comes in, and where ADF has that kind of a capability that it can work both with the on-premise as well as the cloud resources. Okay, so with this I just wanted to again take a pause and go back to the audience. you can let me know if you have any questions as such, I mean, related to the session that we had, and also maybe you were thinking like how apt it is and all that. You can just ask me those questions if you have.
Hey, Kumar. Sorry, Ravi.
Yeah, Kumar.
Uh, so I'm new to this one ADF. Is it
Okay.
useful for me because I don't know programming knowledge basic also. Is it be
Right.
useful? And what are the basic skills need to improve? Because if you want to go to data Azure Data Factory, and one more thing,
Yeah.
is it the only one course need to helpful for future? Because I can learn Azure Data Factory plus with Power BI or whatever. Is it only with 3 years experience? Is it useful for?
Currently, may I know what you're working in, or what are you working on the technology platform?
No, I'm not working. Just I'm working on like development side, but that is Dynamics AX side, functional side.
Okay. Okay. Dynamic X functional side. Okay. Understood. Okay. So in your scenario, right? So we also see some integrations. Maybe if you have talked with your developers or sometime, you might have seen some integrations from the Dynamics AX to the Microsoft ecosystem. So Dynamics AX is a kind of a part of the
Yes,
Microsoft ecosystem only, right?
yes,
So there could be some integral tables from which we need to bring in the data and all that.
yes,
No,
yes,
in your case you already have the functional knowledge is what you're saying. Now
yes,
if
yes.
you have to understand the technical side of things, right? How are they actually bringing in and all that? So when you say Dynamics X, is that on is this integrated with Office 365, or it is just a on-premise AX system
Uh,
that you're?
it is cloud based, cloud based.
It is already cloud based, so that means your system is already on cloud. And maybe I should say this will help you out in case if you wanted to go for the technical understanding, or you wanted to actually have a real hands on the technical side. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a particular requirement that you need to bring in the some particular functional data of AX into the cloud and showcase that in one Power BI report or anything, right? So that could be
Yeah.
the practical use case that you can get. Okay.
But
Now
my main
using,
question is like not AX, so I want to uh, go with this one only because I don't want to my previous experience. So I want to
hmm,
go with this one only in future. Like and next, I when I put a resume, so I want to go for
right. So
uh,
basically, yeah. So you're saying you're not having any technical background or anything.
a
Okay.
technical background,
Let
but
me
I
tell you
want to
what.
go with this one.
Uh,
I want to go with this only because it is I get some with my friends. This is the future. This is the ADF is the future. So I want to go
yeah,
with this one.
that's true. Yeah, that's a good choice. What I'm trying to tell is that okay, even if you're not having programming background, like the technical programming background, but you should have some understanding of databases for sure. Okay, some understanding, like at least firing
Yes,
some
yeah, yes,
queries, querying the tables and all that. That you should be aware. If you are aware of till that point, I think you are
mm,
good to take up this course, because
okay,
whatever is there, you need not do any actual programming side of this. Okay.
okay,
um, you need not do any programming part of it, but you should have some understanding. Okay, what is coming in from one table? What, suppose if we
okay,
have to join these two tables and get one more bigger data set, so that is
okay.
the level of understanding that you should have. And you
I
need
got it.
not have some kind of a C sharp or something like that, where you need
Mm.
to do. I mean, it provides that capability of advanced capabilities, but for your learning or for your trying to understanding this ADF and all that, you need not have the actual programming knowledge.
But I heard some like Databricks is using PySpark or Python languages. Is it true?
Yes. So when I said data factory, it actually integrates with anything. The idea of creation of data factory is it should integrate with anything, right? So when I said Databricks, so Databricks is again It's like a high
Different.
end, yeah, I mean, it's like a high end cluster which is there, where we can integrate or schedule it using this ADF pipelines. Okay, so assume a scenario that some guy in your team who is like the programming guy, he had scheduled or kind of had some complex calculation written in Python. And what he will do, he should kind of create one notebook and give it to you.
Okay,
What
got
you
it.
will do, okay, you will
I think.
provide the main orchestration that is required from the ADFN.
Okay, okay, got it. ATL, like we are using like ATL, like transformation.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, Nagarjuna.
Hello, yeah, Ravi, this is Nagarjuna. Actually, I
Yeah.
am working as a SAN storage administrator. Actually, how is the market for ADF? If we, we shall continue ADF for single course or any dependent course, we need to learn it if we want to survive.
So your intention behind going, that is, you wanted to go into the data side. That is
Yes,
your
Before
intention, right?
Kumar,
yes, sir.
can you stop the recording before we are asking like personal questions? Because I think it is in recording.
No, no, that's okay.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay, okay.
No, that's fine. Okay, Nagarjuna. So in your case, you are a SAN administrator, okay, and and you wanted to move into the data field, right? So basically,
Yes,
you need to have some basic understanding of how the databases work. Okay, and I think you might have already had some understanding already, since you are
yeah,
already working in SAN. There could be some servers or kind of
yes, yes,
servers related disks that will be residing on the SAN, correct?
yeah, yes,
So basically, yeah, when I worked, so basically we work with SAN administrators to understanding what is the technical lag of getting the data from that servers and all. Yes, I was just saying so that the understanding is you can definitely go for this, okay? And on your day-to-day activities too. I mean, if there are some kind of a maintenance things that needs to be done and all that, that also can be kind of an automated with respect to using ADF. And when if you are starting this afresh, okay? So as I said, there is no particular programming background that is required for this, but you need to have an understanding of how databases work. At least querying tables, joining tables, understanding what are some basics of stored procedures, right? I hope
yeah,
if you are already aware, that's good, but
yes, sir.
learning about that is not a big deal. Okay.
Yes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, Venkat.
This is Apurv. Can you hear me?
Hey, hi, bro. Sorry. Yeah.
Hi. So I just wanted to know, like, what kind of scenarios would we covering in ADF? Like, would it be like basic ETL transformations that we would be covering in this course? And also, will we be studying about Databricks also, or just ADF aspect?
So, Databricks. So Apurv, the scenario comes like this. Okay, uh, we are the basic course here is about ADF only. So what we will do is in a traditional database systems. Okay, so you might be if you're already working as a part of in SSIS or something. May I
Yes, I
know?
work as a BI developer, and I have been part of like a couple of migration projects as well, working with SSIS
Okay,
and Talent as well. So
okay.
yeah,
Talent also. Okay. So
yeah.
what we are going to cover in this course is like you can take a traditional case of a dimension and a fact table loading. So all these can be achieved by creating the same. I mean, as of now, you might be having like we are doing the same part in exercise, right? And how we can kind of create a dimension table, fact table, and those scenarios are completely covered in this course. So that means after finishing this course you will be able to have a similar understanding of what is a fact, what is a dimension, how to build a data warehouse in Azure itself. Okay, and coming to the other tasks, right, like be it some kind of a maintenance tasks, or suppose if you have to do some kind of a lookups, right, that is the basic things that we do when we work it out in dimensions and facts. So how to do lookups, and uh, the data bricks. Okay, from the data bricks end, we will try to orchestrate a data brick notebook, and uh, if we have to cover Databricks in detail, that's a very bigger topic, right? So
Right.
basically, there can be any number of integrations that can be happening in the Databricks, and so be it Python, be it Scala, or in whichever language that you write, it can be a very complex case and as well as a normal case. But what we will cover here is we will try to orchestrate such Databricks related notebooks. And if you have any particular scenario, we can work it out together, like what is that scenario that you are trying to do, and whatever is possible from our end, we'll be able to help you on that.
Okay. So like basic transformations, like say if you want to add or remove columns from a SQL DB to a data warehouse, can we run
Yes.
all of that in ADF, or do we have to spin up a data bricks cluster and basically like create a data frame and perform transformation in that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, Apur, it so happened that uh, now the ADF has that capabilities. Earlier, it used doesn't had that. You know that
Okay.
Databricks is one thing that is runs under Spark engine. Okay,
Right.
what
Yeah.
ADF did is now in the recent version. Okay, it has one activity called data flows. Okay,
Okay.
so under the data flows, you can actually create just like how you are mimicking in SSIS.
Okay.
So
Okay.
there is no need to again go for a data bricks cluster to achieve that. You can do it in the data flows itself. Suppose if you are trying to remove a column, you are trying to look up on a column, you're trying to transform one column from A to B, or one to C, or something like that, right? So that
Right.
can be done now using data flows itself, and we need not actually go and spin up a data bricks cluster.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, sure.
Hello. Yeah, hi.
Yes. Hi, Srinivas.
Yeah. Hi. So this course will cover like Azure Synapse Analytics as well.
I will say one thing. It doesn't cover the Azure Synapse Analytics, but if you do this course, Synapse will be, I mean, you are completely used to that, because the same data flow, the same activities, that same pipelines and everything is similarly there in Synapse also. The Synapse as such is a kind of a high memory intensive cluster. Okay, but I should say data factory as Synapse as the next version of ADF, or I should say that you can easily, or uh, more memory and more kind of a compute is associated with the Synapse Analytics. But if you do ADF, right, if you do ADF, you will have a clear understanding on what you need to do in Synapse, because it runs on a same fashion. I mean, there is a data pipeline here, there will also a pipeline there. Okay,
Okay.
if there are defining data sets, linked services, everything will be similar in Synapse also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Fine. I think, yeah, we are little over time, but yeah, if you have any further questions, you can let me know. We can discuss, or you can even drop a
I,
mail and have that discussed. Yes,
I,
Kumar.
and this is a small suggestion. Like I don't understand.
Sure.
We are actually I seeing like when you watching a YouTube video with a 140 per pixel, so it's like your the screen is like yours, and it's not like a 720 pixel HD video, because I checked my internet speed also, it is like 60 Mbps speed. So did you get all the members, all the members also same thing, because we are watching your screen, but like it is like 144 pixel, because we are not clearly understand the letters. Like it's all the members
Okay.
are. I think it is a resolution issue. Maybe. Did you
Okay.
get it?
So as you
There are
mentioned,
some.
yeah, I got it. Maybe that could be a some maybe the setup or something like that. Maybe I'm using my web client. That could be one reason.
That's the
Hmm.
case. Maybe because
Is this
if
the
you,
problem with others also, like Nagarjuna or
I think it is Ravi said also. I asked my friend
Well,
Ravi.
yeah, hi. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Problem with me also. The font size is not clear. I think it's not.
I think it is web client
It's
issue,
kind
because
of blurry. Yeah, blur.
uh,
okay.
when you actually desktop version, if your laptop is there like a desktop, it is maybe it's clear one. But in the case web client, maybe it is like lag, like screen resolution issue. If that's the case, we are watching like YouTube video with 144 pixel. We can see the video, but the structure of the word is not exactly what we see.
Okay. Okay.
I am getting very clear view. I am using the
Sure.
desktop app.
No, you can see the menu like file, like is it clear? Is it clear? Like not like that.
Yes, it's clear. For me, it's clear.
Okay. So just like
Okay.
you mentioned 60 Mbps, I am having a 100 Mbps connection here. But yeah, maybe it could be
I am having
right,
30
maybe something
Mbps,
special.
but I am getting clear.
Clear picture.
Maybe
Okay.
we will check in next class if it is maybe it is the issue.
Sure.
We can check. Yeah,
Yeah,
in
I
the first
know.
class we don't understand the thing exactly.
I want to one more thing, sir. Like for after completing this course, for which role we can apply? It will apply. Will be applying for Azure Data Engineer or Azure Data Factory Engineer.
So just generalize your role. Okay. So you should be a cloud data engineer. Okay.
Okay.
Always think like, okay, understand any concept or from the technology perspective, understand that in a concept of architecture and all that. Don't even though we are learning Azure part of it, okay, the ideal
Okay.
understanding, or you should be in a compatible situation to even understand how the things work in Amazon also, right? So
Yes.
that
Yes.
should be the level, and you should call yourself once you kind of finish this course as cloud data engineer. Okay. So
Okay.
basically you have the main ingredient there of learning data factory here, and then you can call yourself as that. Okay.
Yes.
Call it as cloud data engineer. Yeah. And
Okay.
when I say
Thank you.
cloud, here the cloud offering is Azure. Okay. And you
Azure.
are already
Okay.
working with a data, and we call this as engineering, right? So because we are transforming the data, we are doing the mashup or what is required there. So that is how
Yes.
you should call it. Okay.
And
I,
we will
I,
be not using any languages like Spark and Scala, right? Or any other tools?
for this, so when you actually perform some kind of a data bricks related notebook or anything, within that notebook,
Okay.
we need to specify some language. Okay. Suppose if you are
Okay.
working on bringing in some data, okay, or you wanted to, you're having some data in some data frame. So like something like a pandas and numpy. So if you ask me that question simply, yes, we will also try to implement such scenarios. It is not that you have to learn that, but if you learn, that is an edge to you. Okay.
Okay.
Think like a scenario when you go to an interview or anything, right? He will ask, okay, have you
Yes.
worked with Python and all that? Or
Yes.
whether you worked in Scala. No, sir. I did the same transformation in Python, and that can be achieved like this, which I integrated using a notebook. So that should be your answer, right? So
Yes.
basically, you will learn that scenario, one example on how to implement such notebook using Python in the course.
Yeah. Okay. Thank
Hi. Hi, Ravi here. Hello.
Yeah, hi
Hello.
Ravi.
Yeah, what is the duration of the course?
I'm right. So this will be spanning across. I think I have to just talk that with the admin here. Okay. Maybe
Okay.
on the course content, all that that will be able to reveal it. But typically, you will take around a month to 45 days for completing all the modules and all.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Can we
there could be some kind of a practice that you can do, and maybe we can have some sessions like that to understand.
the uh,
uh,
the practice sessions based on the real time experience, that real time or
yeah,
like
so
example scenario?
when yes, exactly. So if suppose in may know on what you're currently working on, I can actually talk in that lines. uh,
Yeah, I'm working with a service now as a functional side. Functional side.
Okay, okay. Service now function side. So I'll tell you a
Yeah.
scenario where I was using the service now data. So we are trying to actually bring in the service now data for one of my client. Okay. So basically using the web services API, we can directly write queries,
Yeah.
right? On the table
Yeah.
APIs, right? So
Yes.
we were triggering that. First, we are loading the entire data into the ETLs, into our data lake. Okay, and from that data lake, we're trying to
Okay.
push the data into the tables. Okay, this is one real-time example which we worked on. Okay, a
Okay.
similar can be, you can also work out in a similar way. First, you can bring in the data, the entire data into a data lake. Okay, and using
Okay.
this Azure data flows, you can push the data into a table, and that can be consumed by anyone else whoever wants it. So for this, what you need, okay, you need to understand what is a factor, what is a fact, what is a dimension. Okay, so those will be covered here, and you will be able to kind of create those facts and dimensions once you complete this course.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, yes, we're at 11 a.m. uh, Thank you everyone for joining the session, and yeah, if you still have any further queries, you can email, you can have a discussion with our counselor, and then you can get back to us. Thank you so much, and
Hi,
all
hi.
the best too.
Hello. Hi, Venkat here.
Yeah,
Hello.
yes, Venkat, go ahead.
Actually, I'm working as a SQL Server DB administrator.
Okay,
I want to learn in Azure SQL Server, Azure Data
you
Engineer.
want to work. Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
I don't have a knowledge in developing side. It's fine
okay,
for me. I don't have any knowledge in developing side.
okay. But uh, see, this will be a platform for you to actually step in into the cloud related part of it. Okay, and
Okay.
even though if you're not having any development experience, but you at least have some knowledge on how DB works and all that, right? Because you are already a DB administrator, and you know how to query tables, you need to know how to joins and all that. So
Yes,
that
yes.
basic knowledge would help you understand how to leverage on this cloud platform. That means how can you build on top of what you're having existing. Okay, so
Okay.
on top of what you're having now, the experience, you can develop on top of that. So this will give you a
Okay.
overview of how to work on Azure resources, like how to create a subscription, sample subscription, create Azure resources. So just like how you are doing some DBA activities, so you might be doing a DBA activities on the on-premise systems, right?
Yes, yes. Correct, correct. We are working
Correct.
already.
You're already
On-premises to
working.
Azure. Yeah.
Yeah, and there could be a scenario where you need to kind of bring in from data from the on-premise to the cloud and all that. Such kind of scenarios also will be able to understand what's happening.
Yes.
after you learn this code. Okay,
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
sure. Okay, fine. Thank you everyone, and yeah, thank you for your suggestions too. Maybe
Yeah, thank you.
some part might. Yeah, thank you all. Bye. Have a good day.